grow up with a NES, PlayStation, Star Wars, cartoons, and ABC TV? Do you like to think who would win in a fight between Batman and the Master Chief? Comics, games, movies, music, and TV. They're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of geeks. Comics, games, movies, music, and TV. They're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of geeks. This Week in Geek. This Week in Geek.
Hey guys, what's going on? You are listening to ThisWeekInGeek.net. My name is Mike the Birdman, and happy holidays, however you choose to celebrate on this holiday Monday on both Canada and the United States. Like I said, my name is Mike, but I'm not alone as I'm enjoying some hot dogs, some potato salad from the lovely city of Kitchener, Ontario, Canada.
Alex, the producer, staying inside with the first weekend where we had to put the air conditioner units in. The living room where I'm recording right now is temperate, is the best way to describe it. I would not be super comfortable in this without an extra fan on me, but the bedroom is crispy and nice because it is, I think with humidity, 36 degrees Celsius today. So what's that? Somewhere in the 90s? Something like that in the States?
I would say very high 80s to low 90s off the top of my head. I'm actually enjoying
Sorry, it's between 90 and 96 Fahrenheit right now in this area. And for comparison, 3 days ago it was 0. It was freezing out.
Yeah,
it was like 30. It was like 30 or 35 degrees Fahrenheit, and in the next 2 days, it's going to drop down to about 60 Fahrenheit.
I think it snowed last week, did it not? Or something like the day?
It snowed on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then by Thursday, Friday, it was summer weather.
Yeah, like it was really like climate whiplash would be a really good way to describe it.
We got the AC units in just in time for it to cool down again. But then it looks like things are going to level out starting next week, and we're going to have like regular 21, 22. So that's like 75, 76 degrees. Something like standard. Like you might want a fan on at nighttime if you're somebody who likes just to be a little cooler, but like you could totally sleep if you just had sheets on. You don't need a cover or anything anymore. That's the kind of weather I like to see. But we already know, we know that like by the time Summer Game Fest is here, first week of June, July, we're going to start having what we used to consider our August weather, but for the last 5 years has been a summer of scalding hot weather. Yeah,
it's been super unpredictable and like super strange. I mean, as of right now, I'm currently using, actually, this is something we actually reviewed during our holiday gift guide. I've got one of our Shark Ninja, this desktop fan that's USB powered, but it is incredibly powered. I just want to see if I can get the proper name on it without wrecking my desk, which it is a Shark, and I don't know if it's got the name of the unit on the side. I can't read it, but it was a desktop fan that we reviewed last year on the gift guide, and honestly, it's going to come in so helpful this summer. So as you're listening to today's show,
is it the Shark Flex Breeze?
Maybe. I think so, yeah, because it's small, it's fairly compact. It was definitely one of the nicer products that we took.
Yeah, I think it's what it is. There's a series of fans they have, and it looks almost like a spotlight you'd use for Batman.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And it's honestly probably one of the nicer things. I went to bed last night and Blair, my lovely wife, had said, "Hey, Mike, I know you're probably going to get hot in here. We haven't put in our air conditioning yet because we still want to barbecue." I was like, oh, I woke up feeling so refreshed this morning.
If that sounds weird, it's because of the way your setup is. You use one of those portable AC, like the ones that are on the ground, and you put it in your sliding door for your apartment. Yeah. That's why it's like somebody's going to be like, why can't you barbecue with an air conditioner in the window? It's because your window, quote unquote, is your screen door.
Yeah, but yeah, so as you listen to this episode today on Holiday Monday, this is going to be a review show for this week. Mostly because me and Alex, like I said, we're going to be taking most of this week off. However, though, that being said, small programming announcement. So my wife, as you all know, currently is a teacher, and unfortunately, due to some scheduling issues, we have to work the day of the Game Awards. I also have something that day as well.
Canadian Game Awards.
Yes, the Canadian Game Awards, which are going to be held in Toronto at the Metro Toronto Convention Center. However, though, due to the fact these are being live streamed on Twitch and YouTube, I believe, we're going to be covering it the following day. So kind of like how we would normally do with the big Game Awards that Jeff hosts every December, we're going to do something like that. So you're getting 2 award show coverage in 1 year. Incredibly sad that we can't go, but obviously Blair has to work. And while I'm just getting used to traveling for the first time on my own, it's not safe for me to be outside of the city without having somebody with me that can help me should a medical event arise. We're working towards more independence, though.
And in my case, I would be forced to take the train because there isn't, buses really the same way that there used to be. Now that for our American listeners, Greyhound doesn't exist in Canada anymore, and they were the last bus carrier.
Mm-hmm.
So it used to be we had regular rides all day, all night, running to and from Toronto from where we lived. It was actually pretty accessible. And then right before the pandemic, they shut down completely. There is no buses. We do, however, have a train system. But that train system basically ends at 5 or 6 p.m. on a weekday. And it's only there's only 2 or 3 rides in the whole day. And it would end before the last train home is before this event starts. So it would basically necessitate on the last minute notice finding arrangements on staying there, all this stuff that is out of pocket more than we were expecting to come up with for myself. That being said, plans are hopefully, fingers crossed, for next year for us to be able to attend, possibly both of us or some format, because in my particular case, the talk is, fingers crossed, as long as they don't screw it up, is to have extended commuter service where the trains would be running on weekdays all the way till midnight every hour back and forth from where I live. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, that makes it a lot easier because then there's no worry about getting back in time or, potentially being stranded and having to sleep in a park, which I would rather not do.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to take a look at the Canadian Game Awards this year, especially with having Mark Muir and Jennifer Hale as hosts. I actually messaged Mark last week saying, hey man, I'm probably going to be there. I'm really looking forward to seeing you. Then unfortunately Blair had to work. So Mark right now is at DreamHack in Atlanta with some of my friends down in the Atlanta area, hoping my good friend Costdef, formerly of Team Caliber TK, went by to go say hi to Commander Shepard. I know he's got a bunch of people over at the old TK house this weekend, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, so today's episode that you're going to hear is going to be a review episode, mostly with Alex. I did contribute some Transformer stuff, maybe some other stuff, depending on what I've got done. Currently, I am working on some RPG stuff. I also have some stuff from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. I recently got Wuthering Heights, I got The Bride, and I got Speed Racer. I've seen one out of 3 movies here. I got some stuff coming up from Modifius. Hopefully I'm working on there's the solo version of the Fallout role-playing game called Wasteland Wanderer. I also have some additional stuff for the Fallout role-playing game. Also, I contacted these guys a while ago, and I just haven't had a chance to dig into their stuff, but they're a group called Event Tier, and I found out about them through a dungeon tuber called World Builder Bob. And they have some incredibly interesting books that are more meant for more of the fantasy role-playing game side of things. So if you want help designing dungeons or interesting monsters, stuff like that. Plus, I've got just a bunch of older books I've been wanting to take a look at for a while. I should have some more stuff from Star Trek Adventures, books that I did not work on. I should be able to review, hopefully, in the next little bit. I'm trying to think of what else doing. I'm working through Pragmata now. Hopefully we'll have that during as sort of like a bonus episode during Summer Games Fest, if not maybe a little bit after, as like kind of extended content, because Alex gushed about it and I thought from what I've seen it's pretty neat.
We did our initial review, but we talked and said, hey, this is probably something that warrants a longer prototype discussion, not necessarily like super deep nitty gritty, but like it would be interesting to see a couple different perspectives on it.
Well, yeah, because like one of the reasons I'm glad you suggested that for us to pursue as a topic, you don't see a lot of games that are not attached to large IP or have been in development for like 10 or 15 years or whatever it is, right? Like something that is new, something that's exciting. You phrased it to me before in one of our private conversations, like it's like one of those games you'd see during the Xbox 360, PS3 era that would come out maybe during a sleepier time of the year, and it just might hit.
Announced in 2020, released in 2026, but feels firmly 2011.
And that's not a bad thing, because those games, that's how you discover your undiscovered gems. Is like, hey, this game didn't get a lot of attention, but it's really cool.
It feels like something you would have seen teased, not at like E306, but like E307, the first year in, they would have teased it, and then it would have been like, oh, this is taking a while to come out. And then like 2010, 2011, it would have come out. Like, this feels like something ripped right from the Mass Effect 2 era.
Yeah, and that's what I think is really exciting, is when you get different developers taking a chance on unproven IP, and not everything will land.
And like unproven unique gameplay styles, which you haven't seen action or RPGs. RPGs you've seen expand a little bit with like Expedition 33, but like the action genre has not had a truly innovative take.
Maybe Control, maybe.
Yeah. This is such a different feeling, like gameplay loop, that we'll get into it when we do our big form discussion, but like this feels like a weird unique case, and I think didn't they already announce it's like 6 million sold or something?
And that's really awesome, especially for something. I feel like people are burned out on legacy IP, and again, we'll get into this when we talk about this in a couple of weeks, but it's like, I need something different. I need something, as much as I love games like Resident Evil or whatever.
It sold 2 million copies. They've officially said since launch. It was 6 million for I believe the latest Resident Evil.
Okay, yeah, but say Resident Evil 9, fantastic game, but I know what I'm
saying that they're killing it this year, and they still have so this is like the second or third major release this year for them, and they still have that reimagining, or I don't think it's not a sequel, it's a reimagining of Onimusha coming out.
Yeah, and that'll be pretty cool. And actually that's kind of a nice transition point, because we often talk about what we've been doing or playing during this past week. For me here in Guelph, it's been busy. It is election season here in Guelph, so I'm started doing my rounds. I might be working with Adam A. Donaldson, who you hear on Loose Cannon, might be doing some stuff with him. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on things, having some conversations around town, doing my best to just, be a good informed civic participation type person. But I've also been kind of taking it easy. I do have some homework I've been kind of working through that. I recently just submitted my first assignment. I will admit, probably should have done that about 2 weeks ago. But I was in Toronto, so sue me. And I started playing some stuff in my backlogs. That's one thing me and Alex do during the summer, is we start going through older stuff. And I started playing through Dragon Ball Z, Kakarot. I started playing through some of the DLC, and it was really sad, Alex. I looked at my save file date, and I was like, oh, the last time I played this was 2024. Oh, man. And That's kind of something that's kind of sad, because sometimes I'll have these really games I'm really excited about, and I just don't go back for a really long time. I'm always afraid I'm going to get lost. So I finally
Persona
finished
4. Persona 4.
4. Yeah. But
I only said that we were all hyped. You bought it for me, and you bought me a copy. You bought yourself a copy, and then we didn't touch it forever. And I only touched it this year after like 2 or 3 years. And
then
you're
you
like,
said,
I said, you know what? After this many years, wait, because I think in the fall we're getting that remake.
yeah. So I mean, that was
But
going to be one of my big summer games, but I'm like, you know what? You're probably
they
right.
got our money. I'll help you pick a different summer game that I think you'll like. I'll pick something out that also can be done fairly quickly. What I should do is I should pick you like 2 or 3 games that take you 10 hours or less each.
I think this summer, because it keeps going on sale, and it's on sale right now on the Switch too. And I'm purposely curating a Switch collection. I
Yeah.
think I may finally just sit down and just do all the Life is Strange's. Here is 2 weeks. You can't play anything that involves a gun. Just play this.
I would suggest that as well, simply because it's something that you can sit down with Blair and be like, Blair, sit with me. And there are parts that's like watching a really good TV show, and then there's parts where you're walking around and you could do the critical path, or you could just go around and like investigate all the little secrets, do some rewinding, get the best answers for things, do whatever. And she can actually like help you point out if there's some puzzles. There's not really many in those games. Some of the side games have a little more, but like it's an experience that you two could do together, where it's not just you going shooty, blowy uppy. And I could see it intriguing her, because it's obviously a big enough series that way that they're making a TV show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, the TV show is probably targeting women.
Yeah, like it's going to be
just
good.
based, like, and I don't mean that as in like boys aren't gonna like it. I mean, I just get the feeling that they're going after the women that like supernatural mystery stuff. That's the market. The market is that, with a little bit of X-Filesy and a little bit of like they sprinkle in like Native American mysticism into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. This week I finally dug into, in a serious effort, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, because it's been available through PlayStation Plus for years. I'm thinking, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just do it, because I needed something to scratch that Resident Evil itch. And it's kind of interesting, because now I'm seeing how gameplay has evolved from Resident Evil 7 to the sections that Grace plays in Resident Evil 9. And I don't dislike the Ethan Winters character, but Grace would kick his ass. That's just my opinion, although I'm probably wrong, because I haven't beaten the game yet. But it's an interesting experience, and I'm kind of glad that I'm going through some of the DLC.
Which one
as well
is the bad one? Is it 5 that people hate?
No, 5 was okay. 6 was the one that was overly bloated.
Is that the racist one?
No, that's 5. 5 was where you were in Africa with Sheva looking for the progenitor. What's the progenitor virus? I can't remember.
I say racist in quotes because it wasn't intentional. It was more of a Japanese developers didn't really understand how it would look to colonial colony countries. Like, yeah, they didn't traditionally, like, it's one of those things where they overlooked it. Like, we're trying to make a game for an international audience, but they didn't consider that maybe people of African descent would see this as problematic. How it was handled.
Well, yeah, because like Chris Redfield is a Caucasian man going around shooting up African villages. Now you do have a partner, Sheva, who is African.
Yeah, but
she's been absent from the series since 2000. And
I just remember not being a player myself that there was a big hubbub. Basically, in America, there was backlash, and then in like places like South Africa, where apartheid had been an issue, it was not intentional. It was just insensitive by ignorance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like when you're in Resident Evil 4 and fighting people in the Spanish countryside, that's not great either. And I think the bad guys are called Galandros, and I think that may be kind of a weird
I
mistranslation.
remember, for lack of a nicer term, I remember at the time the only issue. Everybody loved the gameplay. I didn't play it, but everybody loved it. Talked about it. The only concern was that some people felt like all they did was substitute the word gypsy for said word.
Yeah,
and it was like, and that growing up, we didn't think anything. But my brother's wife is Romanian. She's like, that word for the people, it's not okay. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, if you're in part of Europe, like that is a very contentious word with like ultra nationalists as well as like xenophobia, for the travelers. And it's like, it's a whole bundle of sticks I don't want to get involved in. Right. And I can see why, like that was, and again, it was one of those situations where you have people that don't know the culture and then they're just like that. I wouldn't doubt that in their head they were just, that was some term that they would have called them and then they just had to change it. But I think since then they've changed a lot of like the scope, especially since Resident Evil Village onward has been developed for the West first and then for the local market. And whereas it always, Capcom prior to like 2019 was developed for Japan first and then make it for the world.
The other game I've been playing, I haven't played a lot of it in the last week, unfortunately, just because I just haven't had time. But I was playing Invincible Versus, which is the new fighting game based on the Invincible universe. And pardon me, my team currently is Duplicate. The guy from the GI.
That's not a character.
I'm shit. That's gonna drive me crazy. Cecil, and I'm trying to decide whether I want to play with Mark / Invincible, or whether I want to do someone like Rexplode or something like that. Like I'm trying to keep my team non-standard. It's like a tag team fighter.
Is Battle Beast in it?
Yes, and he hits like a truck.
Just play as Michael Dorn. Just do it.
Honestly, it's such a good game. I think when some of the DLC characters come out, it'll get a lot better. It does have a little ways to go in terms of its online coding because a lot of people are calling it like a button masher, which is good because it's easy to learn but really hard to master. Even right now, I've got this weird thing where I'm like, do I want to play on a controller? Because it is very controller friendly. But if I play on a stick, I have to think about my inputs. If I remap the buttons to what feels comfortable to me, I'm thinking about what I'm doing. I'm a better player, but now I've introduced a new learning curve to myself because if it's on controller, okay, here's how you activate your like super move. But if I do it on
clearly wasn't designed for sticks in mind.
It's adaptable, and that's what I like about it because I can see that I really want this to be good at like Evo. I think it'd be awesome.
Is the Avatar one out already?
No, that one will be frigging hype. I like the Avatar world, but I'm not steeped in its lore. But when I saw the fighting game, I'm thinking, well, guess I'm picking up Legend of Korra again.
Both of these games, though, have a real uphill battle that they're going out in the same year that Tokon's coming.
Yeah, like it's going to be... The fighting game community is eating awesome.
They're eating awesome, but I would imagine the devs of both of these games are panicking. Yeah. Because they'll launch with okay players, but if Tokon takes off big, it could do one of two things. It could bring more people just into the whole fighting gaming sphere altogether, or it could sap everybody away and also pull people away from Tekken, from
Street Fighter,
Mark of the Wolves or whatever, and from Street Fighter, and it might, like, that's really the make or break game right now, where you can determine if the community will grow in new users, that younger people playing, or is there a cap? Is there like 3 million players worldwide, period, and then they're just all fighting for user share?
Yeah, I mean, I hope it'll be a good year where everybody can find what makes their experience special.
Ideally, you'd hope that like there'd be like 2 or 3 million new players brought in by Tokon that then play Tokon and go, hey, what else is new? And then they go see these two games.
Yeah, like it's going to be a good year. However, I have rambled on enough. So before we close out, Alex, and you're going to take us out of here, what have you been playing? What have you been doing? And do you have any idea what reviews are going to be coming up in this show today?
Sure. I have, as you said, gone back into the classic catalog. I've been monthly as the Game Pass copy of the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters come out, gone and played a Final Fantasy Pixel remaster with all the boosts on, just to sort of make my way through. I'm not trying to platinum or get all the trophies for them, because I've already got platinums for that on the PlayStation when I purchased them. But I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, playing them on the PC, the PC version is cloud saves that also work for the Xbox. So I'll have completed saves for basically every platform, every platform except for, I guess, Steam. And I was like, okay, so I've been doing that basically the first week of the month when they come out. I play that for a day or two and get my way through it, and they're usually pretty quick. But now that we're at Final Fantasy V, I forgot that it's a larger game than 4, so it still took 8 hours, even on like, with like fast forward on for the auto battles and boost modes and all that. And if I remember correctly, I think Final Fantasy VI, when that comes, probably this coming month, it's probably twice that. It's probably going to take 16 hours to beat, because it's a 40-hour game without boosts on. So, yeah, I've been playing that. I did a few games for review that I got to double check if when they're coming out. Not this week, but next week I'll have reviews of some indie stuff like Table Flip Simulator, as well as a Story of Seasons game. But as far as this week's concerned, I should have my review of Starbites out, which was a new retro sort of inspired, like PS1/Dreamcast era graphics, turn-based RPG that was pretty interesting. I'll have a full review of that. Beyond that, I've also been playing a few other indie titles, a lot of movies I've been watching, man. I had some stuff from Visual Vengeance, which is a company that puts out Blu-rays of like 90s movies that were like shot on video, shot on shitio type stuff. So like some weird horror stuff, some weird sort of comedy actiony stuff, a bunch of them. So I've got like a stack of them I'm going through, and I'm deciding which ones to review and which ones to not. But I've had that stuff going. As far as other stuff I've played, just sort of for me, I've been going through the Game Pass stuff, because I do have Game Pass on PC, and I have played, probably, I think, more on my PC than I have on other consoles in a while. I played Mixtape when that came out. That's about a 3-hour game, so if you have Game Pass, it's worth checking out. It's more of an experience. I see people complaining there's not a lot of gameplay. There's like skateboarding in it, and then there's a few other things, and it's you're basically doing an interactive experience that's all based in like the 90s, basically. And it's got some good aspects. It's got some aspects that maybe could have been fleshed out better, but with Game Pass and it's only 3 hours, it's worth trying anyway, regardless.
Oh yeah.
Beyond that, I've played a few other small titles, but nothing of note that I wanted to say. All the big stuff, it seems, is sort of being held off. We are still waiting on a request. We might be getting 007. If we do, it's PC only. I guarantee you that's so. If we do, I'll do it, because I think that has some pretty hefty requirements.
Yeah, I'm buying it on PS5, so I've already committed.
Yeah, they're showing it off. I think to get a 60 FPS mode, you have to have a PS5 Pro. I don't think it has 60 FPS on console otherwise. Yeah. And also the Switch 2 version has been pushed like several months, so that tells me that it's having some issues maintaining frame rate, probably. And they said, hey, if you'd like to put in a requests are open. And I went, a week before it's out? That tells me that you're going to have a beefy PC to run it. But again, if we do get a review copy, I'll let you know. And I'll let you know if it's, if you're going to have to break the bank to play it, or if it's worth waiting till maybe it hits console, or maybe even has a few patches out. Because this is going to be a game I think that IOI is going to be doing a lot of patches for. They want this to sell well, and they want it to sell well before GTA 6 comes out, right? Because how many other like cinematically high quality games are coming this year, right? It's this, the Control sequel, and then GTA, as far as we know, unless something pops up at Summer Game Fest that has a random drop in like the summer or fall. We pretty much know the game plan for these AAA games this year. There's not that many. Unless Final Fantasy decides to drop, but there's been rumors that that's been pushed till April or May of next year, so who knows.
Yep.
But we will see. I've also been planning the covers we're going to be doing for Summer Game Fest. They were late putting out a lot of the schedule for when the events actually are taking place, which was a little concerning to me, because in past years, by the first week of May, Jeff's already had like everything already ready to go on his website, and until this morning there was literally nothing but the main show listed, which not always a good thing when you consider that a lot of people have to plan these things out for coverage like weeks in advance. So I think GTA 6, dude, has again messed with the schedules of everything.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a wild year.
Yeah. So I'll say this: it looks like there's an indie showcase on the 21st this week. I'll be at least making notes from that. I probably won't do a show directly on that right away, but maybe when I do a pre-show, sort of like, here's our game plan. I always do like a prototype on, Summer Game Fest. Here's our predictions. Here's what's coming, that sort of thing. I'll see if Ken is available, and we'll probably do something there. And I'll maybe include the stuff that happens in May. But there is supposed to be probably another Japanese indie showcase. It's not the 8-hour slog that I used to have to go through years ago, but I don't know when that is yet, because I don't think it's been announced. But this week we've got that 6-1 indie showcase. And then as of June itself, it looks like they're not as spread out as they used to be. So it's better. So like Thursday, the 4th is the Latin American game show. Then there's the women-led games one. That's at, I think 5 p.m. our time. Then Friday is the big stuff. They have the accessibility one, which is for the disabled gamers that we always like to cover. That's happening in the morning. And then in the evening is Summer Game Fest, 5 to 6 or 7. And then there's the Day of the Devs that happens right after. The next day is Wholesome Direct and Future Games Show. And then the next day on the Sunday is Xbox and PC. And that's all that's been announced so far. There's usually one or two others. And then we really don't know until Nintendo does a general direct, which usually is either right before or right after, and then Sony's State of Play right before or right after. So I think this year, unlike past years where it took up like the whole month of June, I think really the main stuff is going to be somewhere between the 4th and my guess would be the 9th or 10th. So it's not going to be too bad.
Yeah, so it should be a fairly good time. As for summer programming, we are currently working through getting a bunch of stuff recorded. I'm working with the Loose Cannon guys. Me, Alex, and Aaron have recorded some stuff. We're going to be recording some stuff during the month of June, so you always have something to look forward to during the summer, because we're going to start taking our vacation from July 1st, and we will be coming back on September 2nd, the week of September 2nd. But you should have content, at least you'll always have Earth versus Soup. You'll always have something from the Loose Cannon catalog, and we'll see what happens from there.
There'll be, sporadic, like last summer. We'll do, if we have a bunch of reviews that have come in, we'll do a couple of them throughout the summer for bundling that. And then same with the prototype. There's usually a live or very recent show that we do for Opening Night Live and Gamescom near the end of summer, sort of as kind of like a soft launch of when we come back from break, because it's usually like right at the end of summer when we do that.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, guys, we are going to get out of here. This is going to be launching into the review show for this holiday Monday. So hopefully, guys, you will have a safe and happy holiday. Go eat some hot dogs, go get some potato salad, and just have yourself a wonderful day. If you happen to be off work, enjoy your day. If you happen to be working today, hopefully your boss decided to take it easy on you. And we will be back next week right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
Hold on. Something's coming.
Go on without me. The city still needs people to protect it.
Stop! Please! Why don't we play a game together?
I'm taking you down!
Gotcha!
Now! Grab the ring! Prove you're worth what I paid!
You entitled little snot! Better believe you'll regret this!
Well, here is a game that I have been waiting for a couple of years. I believe I initially saw this on my radar. Was it at the Japanese Indie or Asian Indie showcases before Summer Game Fest maybe 2 years ago? Maybe 3 years ago? I off the top of my head, I don't remember, but that's where I initially saw this and went, hey guys, and I think I highlighted it in one of the trailer compilations I made for the rest of the team, or maybe in some of our Discord groups of friends that I sent to. But that's right, Starbites is here, and I had a chance to check it out early. I received, and this is from developer Akina Games Company Limited, and I received an early review code from our friends over at NAS America for PlayStation 5. It is also available on Switch, Switch 2, Xbox Series X and S, as well as PC. And this, I'll say this up front, I'm not somebody who does like a ton of like trophy chasing, trophy hunting, or achievement whoring, whatever you want to call it. But I can tell you this, in playing the game, I did a complete playthrough and I did platinum it. It's one of the few that I've done for review that I've been able to platinum before the game actually officially comes out. And that's because they were pretty confident with this, in that I can say I had it for review about a month early. Which is usually a telltale sign that a game is gold and ready to go with very few issues ahead of time. And I can say that's the case here. Now, there may be some day one patches that I didn't appear with, or that might be change your experience. As of this recording, I didn't see where there was one available just yet, but I also didn't encounter any major crashes or any issues that way. There's voice acting in this game. It's on console. There is English and Japanese available as far as the spoken voices. If you're playing it on PC, it also adds Korean to it. So I guess the Korean didn't get, approved or ported or whatever to consoles. And as far as text languages to read things in on console, you have the options of English, French, or Japanese. The French is there, obviously, for the Canadian North American release, because if you're releasing something physically or even digitally in Canada, it's required. Whereas I don't think you're required to have French spoken language. It just has to be playable in French. So if you're wondering why that's the case here. If you're playing it on PC, though, your language options for text are English, Japanese, Korean, simplified Chinese, and traditional Chinese. So interestingly enough, the only way, if you're somebody who is a French native speaker, to play it completely in French, at least at launch, is if you're playing it on console, and you get the console version, you'll be able to play it in French. So just a fun little fact there. That might change as things go on, but regardless, the voice acting, I played it in English, and I can say the voice acting is top notch. We're talking the quality of voice acting and directing in it is at the same level that you would think from a much bigger title. Like, this is firmly a AA title. If they think it's AAA, it's not. It's a high-end AA title from an indie studio that has put out a really fun, concise game that can be beaten in, depending on how your playstyle is, somewhere from like 20, 30 hours, I would say, probably in that range, and depending on the difficulty that you're playing it at as well. Changing difficulty makes enemies harder and that, but it doesn't, necessarily change, like, there's nothing that's locked out story-wise. So you can feel, okay to play it on normal or an easier setting. If you're playing it on easy, it's still going to get hard when you get to certain parts of the game. Like, there is difficulty spikes. I found playing it normal or easy, it just depends on how much do you want to do, like bullet spongy sort of. It's a little bit spongier on the harder difficulties. So if that's more of a concern, you want to take a little bit more of a easier, breezier take on it, then play it on the easier setting. Okay, so what is Starbites? It is an RPG traditional turn-based game. You explore a ravaged desert planet called Bitter. You play as Lukita as the main character. She's a young salvager who wants to get off the planet, but there's things of keeping her there, potentially debt, as well as just circumstantial things. You're stuck on this planet. There's mysteries to solve and uncover. You have other friends that go out and salvage parts and stuff. You do like odd jobs to basically make enough money to leave the planet. You have these junky mecha that you have built up that serve as your main combat vehicles, and then you have like skill trees. You can, as you level up, you can level up the skill trees. You can go back and refund the points at no cost to yourself to give yourself different skill tree updates. Eventually, if you go far enough into the game, you're likely to fill up most of the skill tree completely on your own if you get to a high enough level. And there's options for breaking enemies' guards, which then lets you do more damage. There's bosses that have certain patterns you have to beat or avoid. Think like Final Fantasy VI, where certain times don't attack the enemy or they'll retaliate, or there's certain bosses that you have to follow a pattern or not do certain things or they'll do a massive counterattack. I found maybe 3 bosses were of the almost unfair variety, where there was a little bit of random number generation to, I had to play like 5 or 6 times till I just happened to get the right order of luck to be able to beat them. That stuff that are little hiccups that you find in indie studios and that, but it was only a couple instances where I was like, come on. And then I had to like really hunker down and figure out not just a pattern, but figure out that there was some random number generation involved in my luck, at least in the turn quality. Beyond that, there is a few central city bases that you go to that you can travel between. There is quick travel. I found one glitch, one major issue that I hope is patched out, and that was after a certain point of the game. I will not do any spoilers. This is a spoiler-free show. That there was a point where if I fast travel to a certain area, it would soft lock my game and it would never load the area. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And luckily, it had I had a save before that point, and there was an auto save that was before that point. And I loaded that up, it was fine. And I thought, well, maybe if I get a little farther in the game, maybe I can quick travel there. I could quick travel to a couple places other than this one spot. But when I tried to quick travel to this one spot, from a certain point in the game onward, it just would not let me do it. It would soft lock it completely. And it would sit there. I left it one day to go cook lunch, and for like an hour, it was still stuck at the loading screen. So I was like, nah, okay, that part's broken. Maybe that'll get fixed before launch. And if it's not, that's a bug report that I guess can be reported. But again, I was playing a pre-release build. I don't think that there's any major glitches to be fixed, but that might be something that was slightly overlooked. There was one other side mission that I accepted and could not complete because things would not load for it. Luckily, that side mission and none of the side missions are tied to trophies, other than like doing a certain amount of them. But like I did every one except for one of them, and I had already received the trophy for doing as many as I could, so that was fine. Some of the trophies are attached to like observing certain items later in the game, like going into an area and reading something. And I found that was kind of funny that there's like 5 or 6 of them that are attached to that. It's like, oh, they just sort of filled up the lore with some of these trophies. So, but again, that's just the rookie stuff that you see happen with indie studios. And that's if I'm really, really trying to nitpick. I can say this: the characters have lots of personality and spunk. Every character is unique and well put together. The music is pretty good. There's not a huge score, but everything that's in this, even though it's looped, sounds great. The story is fun and feels like an anime Saturday morning cartoon. The characters are all well voice acted. The visual presentation was good. I feel that this probably scales quite well to like the Nintendo Switch platforms, as well as if you're playing on like a Steam Deck or something. The requirements, if you're playing it on PC, are not crazy. The minimum requirements essentially are a 3rd generation Intel Core. We're on generation 13 or 14 now. And then same with the Ryzen 3 1 series. Basically, if you have a computer with a processor from the last 10 years, it likely works for the CPU. And a GPU as a GTX 1050, aka a 10-year-old entry-level video card, likely works. You could probably get away with, if you have a modern Intel Ultra, like, modern laptop or whatever that happens to have like integrated graphics, but it's like the Intel, Battle Mage or Intel Xe Core. Some of the really modern integrated graphics would probably play this just fine. But the recommended is, again, 3rd generation mid-range stuff. It's 8 or 16 megs of RAM, 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM. That's about standard, and a 1060 is the minimum. So most people should be able to play this, with relatively ease and no issue. Very good. I do think that there will be likely a day one patch when you see this. So install that, and any little glitches should probably be cleared up. I can't wait to see what Ikina Games has coming next, because this is a really, really good, output. I think that they did well. There are games with higher budgets than this that don't get either English voice acting or get good voice acting, and I'm really happy they did, because that is what really made the difference here. And I do think this is a great RPG. This could be somebody's entry into JRPG style games, turn-based games. I think that this is good. It says it's rated for teen. Ultimately, I do think kids, if you're like 10 or up, would probably be fine with it, but that's just my personal opinion. I think it's worth checking out. I'll put a link in the description so you can. Alex, the producer here, and here's something fun. Our friends at Film Chest Media Group sent over Dark Film Mysteries 4, a 3-disc DVD film noir collector set for us to check out. Now, this is the first time we've actually reviewed something from Film Chest in a while. They used to send out a lot of cool stuff that they haven't done quite as much recently, but I'm always happy to see when a new release comes from them, because they put a lot of time, effort, and care into their releases when they do put them out. And, if you go back several years with us, we've been reviewing a lot of their stuff, including previous Dark Film Mystery sets. And for those that don't know, what they are is they are collections of like film noir movies from, anywhere ranking back like, early 30s to like mid to late 60s usually. And this case is no different. There's movies ranging from 1933 to 1964, all black and white, all in the 4:3 aspect ratio, which tends to still look pretty good on DVD. For a long time, we were always saying, hey, everything should be on Blu-ray nowadays. Certain movies have a certain charm when watched, on DVD, especially if like nobody really has like a CRT anymore, but maybe you have one in your basement. You have like a movie viewing room, or like some people have even done it where like they've set up like a VHS room. In the case of like my mom, she has a quote unquote dumb TV. She's got a 32-inch 1080p TV from RCA, but it's one of those Chinese rebranded things where like it's just got RCA's name on it. One of those ones you could find on like Black Friday or Christmas deals for like $100, 7 or 8 years ago. One of those things. She has that sort of set up in her one spare bedroom, which when she feels like watching movies, that's where she watches. And she has a VHS machine that was, I think, my brother's from 20 years ago. She's got that hooked up, and that's how she watches older movies. She likes watching them in there. And we have a DVD player, not a Blu-ray player, a DVD player hooked up in her room there, with it set properly to display movies in the 4:3 aspect ratio on that TV, so bars on the side. And that's how she chooses to watch older stuff, basically, if it's from before the modern digital era. So like if a movie's from 2005 or earlier, that's how she prefers to watch it. And I know it's like counterintuitive, you'd think, when it comes to VHS and that, but I told her about this. I said, hey, I've got this Dark Film Mystery set. Would you like to watch some of this stuff? So that's kind of what we did. And I picked, there's 3 discs here. There's 4 movies per disc. So they run at about 350 minutes, which is about the max you're going to want to get on a dual layer disc. Now you can get by with this, like I said, with, if these were color pictures, you start to really notice pixelation or like Moore patterns or other compression artifacts when you try to compress that much time onto a DVD. Advantages: when you do that with a full screen disc, there is less pixels used up by the data, meaning you generally have a better pixel per pixel bit rate count. It's technical, yada yada, but also being in black and white helps even more, because the only thing you might slightly lose is it's a little softer than it would be if you watched something like this on Blu-ray or 4K, but it retains the detail of the color grading of like the grayscale grading quite well. So this is pretty much the best you can expect on this format. The only thing I'll say before going into like a little more details is, in the future, and I've said this, I said this to Film Chest a few years ago, as well as some of the other companies that we get, catalog releases from that do multi-disc sets like this. I would personally, and I've heard from some of our listeners too, they would prefer if, what you have on 3 discs here, you'd have 12 movies. It would almost be served better, because 3 dual layer discs equals roughly 21 gigabytes of data. It would be served better to the public on a Blu-ray disc, a single layer 25 gig Blu-ray disc with all of these movies in 480p, because that is a format that Blu-ray it's part of the standard, because you could use a better quality codec than MPEG-2. They could use the standard AVC codec that is what Blu-rays usually still use. And they could be put on there in progressive scan mode instead of interlaced at slightly higher quality. You could have every movie on there. I have some releases, usually from Germany, and some international ones. And there's, in the anime community, we get releases sometimes from other companies where they do that. They'll put TV shows and it'll say SD on BD, so standard def on Blu-ray disc. And for those releases, I think for preservation's perspective for people, it's better because those discs don't get it scratched. But I think the weighing in on the options here, the reason a lot of times companies go with DVD is just every Blu-ray player is backwards compatible. But it's getting to the point now that I know that a lot of these movies are the market is a lot of times older people or people that are like film noir buffs like myself. But the older people, they have older sets. It's getting to a point where it's hard to find a DVD player, a decent, good DVD player still. So if you're buying a replacement player for your grandparents or your parents, it's likely a Blu-ray player. So that's why my suggestion would be, maybe moving forward, is if you're going to release more of these, my only criticism is maybe put them out on a single layer Blu-ray disc and market it as standard def SD BD. So that way you could fit the 12 movies on one disc. You can still, as a retail, charge the same price, maybe even a few bucks more, maybe $5 more for being on the premium of that disc. But I think that would be ideal for most people moving forward in the collector community, because it is still easy to get anything that plays Blu-rays. It's getting harder to find a dedicated DVD player. But with that aside, I want to just mention that I didn't watch all 12 for this review. I picked out one from each disc just to make sure the discs were all mastered and working well. I picked Borderline on the first disc. That was a pretty fun release. On the second disc, I picked the St. Louis bank robbery. That was great. And again, picture quality was adequate, what I would expect from this. And on the third disc, I picked Dishonored Lady, which is the first release on there. Other movies included are The Big Combo, The Chase, The Second Woman, Too Late for Tears, The Naked Kiss, Please Murder Me, the Kennel Murder, The Man with the Golden Arm, and The Man Who Cheated Himself. They're all in the range of somewhere between 70-ish minutes or so and about 90 to 100 minutes. So the fact that they're lower in length of film length as well helps with the bit rate on here. Pretty good. Insert, it says right on the front, includes, it says episode synopsis. They're not episodes, they're movies, so it should have said, movie synopsis on there, but that's just probably a carryover from printing when they do their TV show releases. So it's over 17 hours of really cool stuff that you can watch on here. As far as what else is included, it's in a good quality DVD case. It's not one of those like cheapy brittle ones you see nowadays, but it does have like a little insert, like I said, with synopsis for each movie, so you can at least know what you're getting yourself into when you choose to watch something. These are the kind of cool releases that are good for having a bunch of these, collecting like Dark Film Mysteries 1, 2, 3, and now 4, keeping them on a shelf for a rainy day. You make yourself a grilled cheese sandwich, make some coffee or cocoa or something when it's raining or blizzarding or bad weather out there, and you want something just nostalgic and fun to put on, because back in the day people used to do stuff like that with Turner Classic Movies. People don't really have cable anymore. Everything's gone to either streaming or into the collector market like this, and I do think that this is a pretty reasonable set to pick up. I think that 17 hours has an MSRP of $20 US. You're basically, at this point, when you start adding it up in your head, you're like, it's just slightly over $1 per hour of entertainment. It's pretty much a no-brainer, honestly, for me. I like it. I'll put a link in the description of where you can buy it. I think it's well worth your time. I love these old school noirs that in many cases, weren't getting released previously on their own. They might not have been able to release them on their own. So having them in a big collection like this totally makes it worth it. Alex, the producer here, and I'm doing just a sort of quickie roundup of some of the indie titles that I've been playing for review as sort of like a first impressions review where they wouldn't necessarily have found a place in our busy schedule to fit with full-length reviews individually on our programming. So I want to just sort of go a little rapid fire over some of the cool things I've been playing. One of which is Monster Crown Sin-Eater. I played this on the Nintendo Switch, and it's a pretty interesting title. I've enjoyed it so far. Visually, it sort of piques my interest in that it's obviously going for a Pokemon-esque, with higher visual fidelity graphics sort of style. Pretty fun title. It's been released on other platforms before, and now it's got a Switch version, as well as I think there's a physical copy coming. Something to keep your eye on if you're a fan of games like that. Definitely worth checking out. I've also been playing Blue Prince, which was a Game of the Year contender in the past. I could totally see why. I know that this has been available. It was on like Game Pass for a while. This is a review essentially of the Switch 2 version, which I can say that port works perfectly flawless, scales well both in handheld and in docked mode. The graphics obviously lend themselves to being well optimized for the platform. So, not much more I could say other than like it's one of the best games released of the last few years, one of the best indies for sure. And now it has a really good quality Switch 2 port, so worth checking out for sure. The next one I wanted to mention that I've been playing is Tongue Twister, Scottfold Moonless Night. This one wasn't really for me. I wasn't a big fan of the graphical style used in it, but that is more of a personal aesthetics issue that I have. I prefer my graphics to be of a certain polish. It has a charm to it. It's like halfway between the graphics you'd see on like one of those like moving survival vampire survivor sort of things, and a more like RPG Maker-esque aesthetic. It's hard. It has a pretty interesting gameplay loop to it. Again, not necessarily for me, but don't let that discourage you, because I think if you watch like a trailer or something for it, you might get a kick out of it. It's just not something I would personally highlight as one of my favorites of the year. Not that I was overly disappointed. I went in with like pretty much no expectations for it. I'm just saying that it's not going to warrant for me a full review, but if you like these sorts of games, these are the games you kind of like. This is on the Switch. I can say that performance-wise, I think the reason why I'm not doing a full review on this one is it had a loading times on my Switch 2, like, which, it's internally on the SSD, the internal SSD, and when you booted it up to the main menu, I counted like 20 seconds where it was like loading. I'm like, to load what? The graphics weren't there. Like, they're not the kind of things that require loading. So it feels to me a little unoptimized, unfortunately, but maybe with patches it'll do better. But that was just how I felt on that. That's just my thoughts of that. So that's pretty much it for the indie and smaller titles that I just wanted to give a quick highlight to on the show here before they get lost in the shuffle with all the other bigger titles coming out. I'll put links in the description if you're interested in any of them, because again, take everything that I say with a grain of salt. I do think that there's something here for everyone.
Hey guys, this is Mike the Birdman here. Once again, I'm here to talk to you about another exciting Transformers product we were sent to take a look at from our good friends over at Hasbro. I'm talking about the Transformers Age of the Primes Maximal Big Convoy. This is a leader class figure that was originally featured in, I want to say, Beast Wars Neo. So this is the Japanese Beast Wars series that we never got, but surprisingly they've been producing figures from this series. We have the Tasmania Kid, we have Magmatron, which was a real surprise, we have Leo Convoy in multiple different color variations and redecos, And Big Convoy is sort of the woolly mammoth, aka Manny from Ice Age looking guy who is yet another holder of the Matrix, if you will. He comes with a couple of different accessories. He comes with a couple of missiles that do not fire, unlike the original Japanese toy. He comes with a blaster, a couple of tusks that can be positioned as like different sort of armaments. He's known in the continuity as the one-man army. I don't disagree with that. He has a capability when he gets posed to use his shoulder pads like these giant missile launchers. He has like these maces that are kind of built into his arms, so kind of like Optimus Primal was in the original Kenner days. And it's a pretty nice looking figure at the leader class size point. What really impresses me about this is he does have the capacity to have his entire back piece. So he's not quite a shell former, but that turns into his big cannon. And I think that may be the canonical name, if you pardon the pun there. And it's kind of like this big honking gun that literally is formed out of his back, but he also has, like I said, the aforementioned missile pods. He's got like a blaster. His robot mode posability, I'm a pretty big fan of. I think it looks pretty good. I think he displays great in robot mode. If he's a little unwieldy just because of the way that his back piece attaches, which is his big cannon, it's a lot better if you actually display that and have him hold the cannon as if he was firing it, which you can do fairly easily, I would say. You can also display him where he has the cannon out of his face. If that's something you want to do, that's something the original toy could do. Again, I had to look up some reference pictures for this. That's certainly a thing, having your gun turn into your face, so kind of like locked down from Age of Extinction. And this guy did it first in the 90s, so there's that, I guess. Robot mode is the strongest point, but display-wise, I think he looks the best in his woolly mammoth. However, that does come with a big asterisk. It's not very posable, which is really unfortunate. Now, his trunk does move, his ears move. Like I said, he looks great in either mode. He displays wonderfully. But in terms of what he can do in his alt mode, it's severely limiting. So if you had a Beast Wars Neo display, I might suggest you display them in their alt modes. I think they look really strong together. I can't say I'm surprised this is offered at the leader class price point, just because there are a lot of accessories and he is a rather big and pretty solid figure, all things considered. However, where would I recommend this for the casual person? Well, for the casual fan, if you want a different looking Optimus, I don't think you're going to find a better one than this one, at least currently at kind of retail. We've got like the Devastation Optimus. Maybe you can still find some Leo Convoys out there. Maybe the Titan Optimus if you're into that one, which I think has a lot of play value for a kid. For fans of Beast Wars, this is absolutely a no-brainer. It looks great. He displays wonderfully. It would be nice if we get Magma Boss down the road, the Maximal combiner that was made up of like Prowl, and I can't remember the other characters, but I remember Prowl was definitely kind of one of them. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty great figure in either way it displays. I just wish it had more posability in its alt mode, but not all figures are created equal. But if you've ever wanted to search for Angmwa energy, and I think that's how you pronounce it, or fight the evil Predacons and Magmatron, well, then you should probably let Big Convoy lead the way for you. Once again, that has been my review of Transformers Age of the Primes Maximal Big Convoy.
Our friends over at In Games have sent a review copy of R-Type Dimensions 3 for review on the Nintendo Switch 2. This game is also available on Switch 1, as well as PlayStation 5, Xbox, pretty much every platform you can think of. I will say this, preface, this has been some time in the making. I know that it's been pushed back a little bit here and there, and the physical edition has been moved to August. A lot of that has to do with global manufacturing, logistics constraints, issues with manufacturing, we can go into it in a full-fledged show. We should probably do at some point, which we've been hinting at left and right. It's not just a RAM and chip shortage out there. It's also manufacturing issues due to global events, wars in Russia, wars in the Middle East, Chinese manufacturing constraints, global tariffs, and all that crazy stuff that really has been a pain, obviously, at the consumer, but at the manufacturing side, everybody at these companies, especially smaller companies that can't, they're not a Sony, they're not a Microsoft or a Nintendo, where they can leverage, saying, hey, let's manufacture, 10 million units, because they figure, oh, we might not sell it all right away, but the money we'll save on economies of scale will help. With a smaller company like this can be quite a pain. So, rest assured, you're going to get your physical edition if you've pre-ordered it. And if you're, somebody who has pre-ordered it in the past, they said that there's going to be an opportunity to request a complimentary digital access key, basically allowing people to start 5 days ahead of launch. And there's platform-specific details, yada yada. If you've purchased it or pre-ordered it through them directly, maybe check out your point of contact there at whatever store you purchased from and see how that works. That being said, I have had a chance, obviously, to play the digital copy. It plays great. It's if you know R-Type, and the Dimensions games have been enhanced, remakes, remastered, all that sort of stuff. Bringing all those games in the past to modern standards. We've reviewed the first 2 in the series here. It's going back a few years now, I think, that they started doing these. So it's nice seeing it come out. It performs well. Audio is in sync perfectly. The music matches what you'd want. The feel is there. The atmosphere. The visuals are there. I didn't encounter any major frame rate issues or crashes or glitches or anything to that extent. The difficulty is hard. The R-Type games are not easy cakewalks. There's some options there to make some slight adjustments to your own settings and that, but there's no easy win mode with these games. But the challenge is there to be conquered, and it's also one of the games that you feel you can conquer. Nothing feels punishing for the sake of being punishing. It feels like you can learn patterns, get better, and move forward without it being too oppressive or anything. Sometimes that's where the balance falls apart in these games, is where it can feel like you're never going to get better. Not the case here. You will get better. It's just going to take a little bit, and there'll be a little bit of frustration. Maybe take a break, come back. But again, it's hard, but not punishing. That's the best way I can describe it. It's also very well put together. I think it's a great game. If you like shooters, this is going to be probably one for you. If you've played the previous ones in the franchise, obviously it's a no-brainer. Can you jump in as a completely new player? Absolutely. There's nothing that says you can't start with this and then go back and play others in the franchise. So that's my recommendation. I'll put a link in the description where you can check it out for yourself. I think it's great, and if you're waiting for the physical edition, just know it's going to come later this summer.
You did this, didn't you? I'm trying to take it easy, damn it. I'm on vacation.
Let's kick some fungus.
Are you getting this?
Alex, the producer here, and I have a triple threat release. Well, there's 3 separate releases, but I wanted to review them all together because, as mentioned on, I believe it was last week's or maybe the week before's show, we've been receiving some cool new movies to check out for review from our friends at Visual Vengeance. That is the Visual Vengeance Collector Series of interesting movies. We've covered over the last little bit a couple of 90s quote-unquote classics. And I'll just say this. I have 3 here that are either coming out or are just out. Some of them just released. Some of them are coming out as of this week. I think the same week, maybe the next following week. But the 3 movies here are Fungicide, which has, I'll say this. These 3 releases have some of the coolest covers ever. And these are Blu-rays, or in the case of one of them, a Blu-ray/CD combo. And the other ones are Born Ninja / Commando, the Ninja double feature, as well as the Screaming. But the first one here is Fungicide, and it's got a picture of a scantily clad woman on the front. It's like a hand-drawn poster with giant mushrooms with teeth and knives going to attack her. They kind of look penile. But I'll say that here's how the best way to describe it. I don't want to spoil any of these, but I'll give you a quick synopsis of them. I was like, if you're a big fan of like the shot on video, the 90s, like the real low budget, like over the top, the stuff that you see covered a lot on things like Red Letter Media stuff, then these are the kind of movies for you. And I'll say this, it opens up, it says, from the creator of the legendary Suburban Sasquatch. Need I say more? Probably not. Basically, it's from the writer-director of Riff Tracks and Red Letter Media favorite Suburban Sasquatch, as in one of the most infamous movies of the internet, comes this film. Basically, it's within a tranquil forest, 5 strangers meet on a secluded bed and breakfast, but one of these guests happens to be a mad scientist who uses his vacation to accidentally create an army of killer mushrooms, now unleashed on the other guests. And with the body count quickly piling up, it's up to the survivors to arm themselves and fight back against these slaughtering shrooms in hopes of stopping them from world domination. That's pretty much all you need to know. It's 85 minutes-ish, depending, including credits in that. It is region free. You can play this disc anywhere in the world, so there's no worry about region locking or anything. There's a director approved SD master from the original tape elements, obviously shot on tape, shot on Shidio. New commentary from the director and co-writers. There is archival commentaries on here. There's 2 additional commentaries, which is always good. I love when they put a whole bunch of extras like that on there. There is the full Riff Tracks version of Fungicide right on there, so it's even better. Alternate opening credits, deleted scenes, some outtakes, image galleries. Then there is some different trailers produced for the producer's trailer, the Visual Vengeance re-release trailer, reversible sleeve, folded mini poster inside, stick your own VHS sticker set for the first pressing that is purchased of this. Now this, as of this recording, is going to be available on May 26th. So if you pre-order it now, you'll get that first pressing. That includes the sticker set, as well as an O card for the first pressing, as well as a grow your own killer mushroom seed packet for the first pressing only, and optional English subtitles. Pretty sweet and awesome if you love that era of filmmaking. The Screaming is one of the other releases here. Basically, college student Bob Martin rents a room from the alluring Crystal Trom, which introduces him to her new age religion, Crystalnetics. Sounds a little bit like Dianetics, doesn't it? Anyway, soon Bob's health and mindset dramatically improve, but when a detective reveals a string of mysterious deaths tied to the cult, Bob uncovers the chilling truth and must face a slew of cloaked assassins, monsters, and cult's charismatic alien leader. Gee, I wonder what they're implying here. Anyway, it does include the original score by Jay Wolfel on the CD in here, which is always awesome when they include stuff like that. So it includes the CD soundtrack score, director commentary. There is a making of feature on here, composing information and video on the composing of the actual score. There is the Screaming Reborn director remastered alternate version of the film on the disc, so a completely different cut, which is awesome too. There is a commentary on that cut as well. Image gallery, original trailers, the Screaming Reborn trailer, more Visual Vengeance trailers, optional English subtitles, a folded mini poster. If you get the first pressing of this, if it's not sold out where you're getting it from, it also includes the stick your own VHS sticker set, reversible sleeve featuring VHS art, and the O card as well is included. So pretty sweet there. And then for the final one I wanted to mention here in these 3 movies releasing around the same time is the Born a Ninja / Commando the Ninja double feature. So shot on video, martial arts double feature. It's pure 80s, ninja chaos and sanity, the stuff you love to see. Born a Ninja is shot on video, ridiculous, low budget, fun, chopsocky craziness involved. And then Commando the Ninja, which is also known as an American Commando Ninja, or also known as Silent Killers. It's basically a covert war over germ warfare and ninja blades and conspiracies and just it's just the fun ninja stuff you'd think of from the 80s. They're SD masters from the original tapes. They include commentaries on both, video essays, image galleries, trailers, more optional subtitles, mini folded posters, reversible sleeves. And if you order the first pressings of these, you'll get the stick your own VHS sticker sets, O cards, and there's also a booklet with an essay by ninja movie expert CJ Lines, and a Blu-ray sleeve featuring art by, in quotes, the dude. Don't think it's any relation to the dude in Big Lebowski, but still pretty awesome. And you get a double feature on here. Depending on where you purchase from, if you go to MVD Shop, they're the distributor of this, or one of the main distributors of this and publisher for Visual Vengeance's release. As of when I'm looking at it right now, it's looking at about $35 Canadian, down from the $49 MSRP on it. And there's about 300 units available to ship from them directly. That would be the first printing. Now, obviously, if you go to any of your favorite home video retailers online that has it, it's probably still going to be that first run, so you can get the little extras that come in it. A lot of cool stuff here. I'm happy to be getting Visual Vengeance stuff because they're fun and wild. I hope that we get more of them to review in the future, but I wanted to make sure that we just covered those 3 because we're getting into a really busy season for us, and I wanted to make sure that you, the listener, could hear about this soon enough, because I'm not sure if it's something that's going to be necessarily on your radar otherwise, and you can get a chance to pick them up when they're in their first print run, or even pre-order, so you can get all the cool extras that only come with the first print runs of these. So that's it for right now. We're going to go back to the show, and I can't wait to see what else we get a chance to check out from Visual Vengeance in the future.
Let's see if our old Hocus Pocus can beat this ninjutsu. Let's go.
The sooner we find the formula, the sooner we can destroy it.
Go get that son of a bitch!
We're making sacrifices to save other people from the results of your diabolical plot.
The ninja knows to fight for those too weak to fight for themselves. This is only a warning, Martin.
Those magnificent bastards! Color me kooky, but something very odd is going on around here.
You're not allowed to talk anymore.
All right, we're back now at the end of the show. That's it for the week. This, depending on how many reviews we had ready to go, will be either a long or short show, but it's a long weekend again as we trek forward towards the inevitable onslaught of shows that we're going to have for Summer Game Fest over the next few weeks. Birdman and I should, with fingers crossed, be doing a full regular show with the news and weird news this upcoming week, but schedules might change as his health has taken a turn as we were recording. Even he was feeling worse, and he's like, Alex, maybe you take over the end of the show for me. And I went, yeah, let's do that. So we'll see. Hopefully he feels better, and if not, we'll go with whatever comes. Should have more reviews ready to go for next week. We do have, as far as new programming on the website and on all of our podcast channels, a bunch of cool stuff coming up. I have a recording that I'm doing this week with Aaron. We're doing, actually, instead of doing a Future Imperfect, we're actually doing a loose cannon on an interesting movie that he's been trying to get us to do for quite some time now, actually, but weren't able to get all the boys together for it. But me and him are able to actually, sit down and do a discussion on that. I'm not saying exactly what it is just yet, simply because I think we're going to keep it as a evergreen title that we can use over the next, few weeks or so, or maybe during the summer break. But as far as like regular shows, what we've got coming up, what we've already got scheduled, got a bunch of stuff ready to go. We have a new Earth versus Soup this week on Brides of Blood from 1968. We've also got, as long as Birdman isn't sick, we've got new episodes ready to go, or should have them ready to go, for the spell book. That'll be episode 16, and he should be recording 17 or 18 as well, so we'll have those over the next few weeks. We have a new Random Access Memories on Television Discoveries. That's coming this week. We also have a Earth vs. Soup, The Vampire Ghost, coming next week. That's, that's going to be interesting. That's from 1945. And then we've also got Future Imperfects on Supernova, Sunshine, new loose cannons ready to go, and then also the prototype stuff. So it's going to be pretty stacked, I think. Starting next week, we'll do a prototype on sort of our predictions for Summer Game Fest and what's coming up. There might also be Sony State of Plays or Nintendo showcases around that time, so we'll see where that goes. But the following week is where everything gets busy, because we will have regular show, we'll have our Earth versus Soups like we usually have, we'll also have Spellbook, but then we shall have coverage of, if not before that, the Canadian Game Awards for the prototype special, or maybe even a TWIG special on that. And then it's probably 4 or 5 prototypes covering all the different events that are happening for Summer Game Fest. And then we sort of slow things down a little bit as we prepare the rest of June for our inevitable 2-month break over the summer, where we're going to have plenty of shows pre-recorded to come out. But that's going to do it right here for ThisWeekInGeek.net. We'll talk to you guys next time, when hopefully Birdman and I are both up, well, and ready to go. So we'll catch you again next time right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at ThisWeekInGeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.